Welcome to Calm Coding, where your weekly check-in on the, well, often not so calm world of cybersecurity.
That's a good way to put it.
Each week, we dive into the latest news, try to connect the dots between different stories, and figure out what it all actually means.
Exactly, because these threats, they're not really isolated incidents anymore, are they?
Yeah.
Everything seems connected.
It really does. Old data gets reused, new tech gets twisted. It's a lot. So today, we're looking at some big breaches, some sneaky new malware, and importantly, what you can actually do about it all.
Right. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, this headline that frankly sounds enormous. A 16 billion record data breach reported. That number just jumps out at you.
It absolutely does. It's a staggering figure, but when you dig into it, findings from Bleeping Computer suggest it's maybe not quite what it sounds like at first glance.
Oh, how so?
Well, it seems less like a single brand new hack and more like a massive compilation. Someone's gathered up huge amounts of data from lots of previous leaks and breaches.
Ah, okay. So old credentials, usernames, passwords, stuff that's potentially been floating around for a while.
Precisely. They bundled it all together. So the narrative shifts a bit, you know. It's not a fresh disaster, but more like a repackaging of existing problems. Still very concerning, mind you.
Right. Because even if it's old data, it's still your data, potentially. Does that mean it's less of a risk, or is it just a different kind of risk?
It's definitely still a risk. Think about those usernames and passwords. Even if they're a year or two old, people often reuse them, don't they?
Guilty as charged sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And the likely culprits behind gathering these lists are often things called infostealers. It's malware that sits on your computer and just scrapes credentials.
How does it grab them?
Often it just pulls them straight from your browser, sometimes saved logins, or it might log keystrokes. It often packages them up neatly. URL, username, password, yeah. And then uploads them to dark web markets. Sometimes they'll release huge lists like this, maybe as a taster, to sell more targeted data later. So even old data is fuel for identity theft, phishing, account takeovers.
Okay, so this is a constant threat. What are the concrete things people listening should be doing? You know, the practical steps.
Right, the things to do. Well, first, for individuals, check if your decals are in known breaches. Use a service like Have It Been Pound. It's free and reliable.
Good starting point.
Definitely. And seriously consider identity theft protection services. They monitor for suspicious activity. For businesses, it's absolutely crucial. Enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, everywhere you possibly can.
That second code, the text message, the authenticator app.
Exactly. It stops those stolen passwords from being useful on their own. Also, use business-grade password managers for strong, unique passwords. And train your staff constantly. Social engineering is still huge.
And things like Google's password checkup tool can help individuals too, right? Flagging reused or compromised passwords.
Yes, absolutely. Leverage those tools. It's about building layers of defense.
Okay, moving from those massive, almost abstract numbers to something very specific and impactful. The McLaren Health Care breach.
Yeah, this one really hits home. It was a ransomware attack, happened between July and August 2024.
Who did it affect?
It hit both McLaren Health Care and the Karmanos Cancer Institute, over 740,000 patients. And the data stolen was incredibly sensitive.
Like what?
Social security numbers, health insurance info, driver's licenses, names, addresses, medical histories, diagnoses, really personal stuff.
That's awful. And it caused real disruption too.
Oh, yeah. The group behind it, the INC ransomware gang, locked up their systems. IT went down, phones went down, they had to cancel surgeries, appointments, a major impact on patient care.
They did eventually notify people, offered credit monitoring, but haven't they been hit before?
That's the really worrying part, yes. This wasn't their first rodeo. They were also a major victim of the Alf v. Black Cat ransomware gang back in July 2023.
How many people then?
That one affected 2.2 million individuals.
Wow.
So while they say now, no evidence your information has been misused yet, this pattern of repeated large-scale breaches in healthcare is, well, it's alarming. It points to maybe systemic issues in securing that sector.
You have to wonder about the underlying security posture when that happens repeatedly. And it's not always these sophisticated digital attacks, is it? Sometimes it's much more basic, like literally losing the hardware. There was that story about UK government departments.
Right. That one was surprising. Over 2,000 devices, laptops, phones, tablets lost or stolen in just 1 year.
2,000 from government departments.
Yeah. Ministry of Defense, Department for Work and Pensions, even the Cabinet Office. Hundreds of incidents each. The estimated replacement cost alone was like $1.3 million.
Okay, but they always say the devices are encrypted, right? Does that solve the problem?
Well, officials do emphasize the encryption, and that's definitely important. But Professor Alan Woodward, a cybersecurity expert, pointed out that these are surprisingly large numbers. It creates a big attack surface.
Meaning lots of opportunities for things to go wrong.
Exactly. And think about it. Encryption helps, but what if the device was actually logged in, open when it was stolen?
Then the encryption doesn't really matter at that moment.
Precisely. Or what if it belonged to someone with high-level access, like a system administrator? The potential damage goes way up.
Yeah.
It shows that physical security and just not losing stuff is still a fundamental part of cybersecurity. Encryption isn't a magic bullet.
Okay, let's shift gears to some new threats. Hackers are always innovating, it seems. There's this new malware called SparkKitty targeting phones.
Yeah, SparkKitty is quite clever in a nasty way. It actually managed to get onto both the Google Play Store and Apple's App Store.
How did it manage that? Aren't they vetted?
Well, vetting isn't foolproof, unfortunately. Kaspersky discovered it back in January 2025. What it does is it uses optical character recognition, OCR.
Like scanning text from an image.
Exactly that. But it uses it to scan your photo library, specifically looking for cryptocurrency wallet recovery phrases, those long strings of words you need to get your crypto back.
Oh, wow. So if someone took a screenshot of their phrase.
That's the target. An app called SOEX, which was infected with SparkKitty, got downloaded over 10,000 times. Once you give it permission to access your photos, which many apps ask for, it just starts scanning continuously, looking for those phrases in new or old pictures.
That's incredibly sneaky, using a common permission for such a specific malicious purpose. What are the key takeaways here? How do you avoid that?
It really highlights the danger of permissions. First, never screenshot or save crypto recovery phrases as images on your phone or anywhere easily accessible. Use a proper encrypted vault or a secure password manager.
Right. Basic crypto hygiene.
Absolutely critical. And when installing any app, even from official stores,
Yeah.
double-check the developer. Is it really who it says it is? Read recent reviews carefully. Be super suspicious if an app asks for permissions that don't make sense for its function. Why does a simple game need access to your photos or contacts?
Good point. Question everything.
Yes. And be wary if it asks you to install new configuration profiles. That can be a red flag too.
Sticking with deceptive software, SonicWall warned about fake VPN apps. That sounds like trouble for a remote worker.
Big trouble. SonicWall and Microsoft Threat Intelligence found hackers basically creating copies, spoofs, of the official SonicWall Net Extender SSL VPN client.
How are they getting people to download the fake ones?
They're using fake websites that look almost identical to the real SonicWall site. And they use tricks like SEO poisoning, manipulating Google search results so their fake site appears high up, and malvertising, malicious ads to drive traffic there.
So people think they're downloading the official client?
Exactly. Sometimes these fake apps are even digitally signed with certificates that look legitimate at first glance. But they're designed purely to steal your VPN login details. Username, password, domain name.
Which gives them a direct route into a company network.
Potentially, yes. It's a huge risk for businesses and individuals. The advice here is really simple but vital. Only ever download software directly from the official vendor's website. Don't trust search results or ads implicitly. Go to the source.
And social engineering keeps evolving, too. There's a new variant of an attack called FileFix.
Yeah, FileFix builds on an older technique called ClickFix. Remember ClickFix? It tricked you into copying commands hidden in fake CAPI CHAs.
Vaguely, yeah. Deceptive.
Well, FileFix uses a different angle. It tries to get you to paste a command or a path into the Windows File Explorer address bar.
The bar at the top where you see the folder path.
That's the one. It might pop up a fake notification, something plausible like, you've received a secure file, paste this path into Explorer to access it.
And pasting that path could actually execute malicious code.
It could potentially trigger a download or run a script, yes. The danger is it's novel. People aren't used to thinking of the Explorer address bar as a potential attack vector. So again, be super wary of unexpected pop-ups or instructions telling you to copy and paste things, especially into system tools. If in doubt, just close the window.
Okay, maybe the biggest shift we're seeing, AI being used by cybercriminals. That sounds like a potential nightmare scenario.
It's definitely a major development, and yes, potentially quite alarming. Research from Cato CTRL confirmed that criminals are successfully jailbreaking top AI models.
Jailbreaking, like getting around the built-in safety rules.
Exactly. They're bypassing the ethical restrictions built into AI, like Mistral's Mistral or XAI's Grok, and they're using these unrestricted AIs to create what they're calling worm GPT variants.
What are these worm GPTs doing?
They're generating malicious code, writing incredibly convincing phishing emails and social engineering scams, even creating step-by-step hacking tutorials. They found one called Keanu Worm GPT, using Grok, specifically crafting phishing messages.
So AI is making it easier, faster, and maybe even better for criminals to launch attacks.
That's the core concern. It dramatically lowers the barrier to entry. You don't need to be an expert coder or a brilliant social engineer anymore if you have an AI doing the heavy lifting. It could lead to a significant increase in both the sheer volume and the sophistication of cyber attacks, something we absolutely need to watch.
Shifting focus slightly, let's talk travel. Summer's here, people are heading to airports. The TSA issued some warnings.
Yes, timely warnings about risks you might encounter right there in the terminal. Two main ones: juice jacking and honeypot Wi-Fi.
Juice jacking. That's about public USB charging ports, right?
Correct. The worry is that criminals could tamper with those public USB ports, installing malware that gets transferred to your phone when you plug in to charge. Or it could potentially steal data, like contacts or messages.
Yikes. Okay. And honeypot Wi-Fi.
That's where criminals set up fake Wi-Fi networks that look legitimate, maybe named airport-free Wi-Fi or something similar.
But it's not the real airport Wi-Fi.
Nope. It's controlled by the attacker. If you connect, they can potentially intercept everything you send over that network: logins, passwords, credit card details. It's a classic man-in-the-middle attack.
So what's the practical advice for travelers? What should you do?
For charging, the TSA says, use your own plug adapter and cable, or carry a portable power bank. Avoid those public USB ports if you can.
Okay, stick to your own gear.
Yeah. For Wi-Fi, if you must use public Wi-Fi, always use a reputable VPN, a virtual private network, that encrypts your connection and shields it from eavesdroppers on the network.
Essential travel tech these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just a general rule: never ever log into sensitive accounts like banking or enter credit card details on an unsecured public Wi-Fi network, even with a VPN if you can possibly avoid it. Wait until you're on a trusted network.
Finally, let's touch on state-sponsored threats. These often target critical infrastructure, right? There was news involving Canada and China.
Yes, the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, along with the FBI, confirmed that a group known as Salt Typhoon, which is linked to the Chinese state, gained access to network devices at a Canadian telecom company.
How did they get in?
They exploited a known vulnerability in Cisco network gear. The specific flaw was CVE 2023-2198. But here's the kicker.
What's that?
A patch for that vulnerability had been available since October 2023. So the telecom either didn't apply the patch or didn't do it effectively. A major security oversight.
That highlights the importance of timely patching, doesn't it?
Massively. Especially for critical infrastructure. Salt Typhoon's goal is usually espionage, collecting intelligence, mass surveillance data, and potentially using that access to compromise further targets down the line. They've hit U.S. telecoms before, too. These companies are prime targets because of the sheer volume of data and communications intelligence they handle.
It just shows the persistence of these state-level actors and the absolute need for robust, up-to-date defenses. So, looking back at everything we've covered today, the huge data compilations, the targeted healthcare attacks, losing physical devices, sneaky mobile malware, AI-powered threats, travel risks, state actors, it really feels like the threats are becoming more blended, more integrated.
I think that's exactly right. The lines are blurring. Old vulnerabilities fuel new attacks. Physical loss enables digital breaches. AI accelerates everything. It's a complex web.
There's a quote from James Shank at Expel. He's director of threat operations there. He said something like, "If this news frightens you, then your security program probably has some fundamental gaps."
He goes on to say, essentially, that there will always be another breach, always more passwords leaked. If you're constantly in emergency mode, you're missing the systematic defenses.
That really resonates. It's about building those robust, ongoing defenses, not just reacting to the latest fire.
Exactly. For individuals, for businesses, for governments, proactive, layered, systematic security isn't optional anymore. It's just essential baseline stuff, and constantly questioning your assumptions.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with today is this. Thinking about AI boosting attacks, the sheer amount of our data already out there, devices getting lost, these integrated threats, what level of personal digital risk are you actually comfortable with?
That's a really good question to ponder.
And following on from that, what systematic steps, what concrete things to do will you take now to manage that risk and protect your information going forward? Something to really think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for joining us on Calm Coding this week. We'll be back next week to navigate whatever new challenges the cybersecurity world throws at us.